Welcome to the Peabody Business Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Ryder. I serve as Chief of Staff to Mayor Ted Betancourt, as well as the city's business liaison and the city's representative on the Peabody Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Now, the podcast is designed to spotlight local businesses by having a conversation with the business owner or an executive and learning more about their product or services, as well as some of the community service aspects, as many local businesses give back to the city and to the region in many ways. I'm delighted to be joined today by Joe and Lisa Gaglione, owners of one of Peabody's most venerable small businesses, Crystal Bee Supply. We're going to talk about that business. We're also going to talk about Essex County Honey Company. But for now, I want to say welcome, Lisa and Joe. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Well, I heard about Crystal Bee Supply when I ran into you, Lisa, at a kind of a forum for the North Shore Realtors.
That's right.
Where I was stepping in for our mayor, Mayor Betancourt, and I met you. You were sitting at a table, and we hit it right off because you told me that your family owned this company on Lake Street for many years, and it was bees, crystal bees. And right away I said to myself, I got to know more about this. So I thought about having you both on the podcast. So thank you for mentioning it, and thanks again for both of you being here. Why don't we start by a simple question? Tell us a little bit about Crystal Bee.
All right. So Crystal Bee Supply was actually started in the early 80s. My dad, Vinny, started beekeeping and instantly started making honey and LLC'd it in the early 90s. And I've been working for him since then, and I've been taking it over for the last few years. So now I run Crystal Bee Supply, which basically runs a couple hundred beehives. We pollinate many local farms in Essex County, one being Brooksby Farms, which is also Peabody. But that's basically what I do, run bees and make honey.
Now, when somebody asks you what you do for a living, do you say beekeeper?
I do say a beekeeper, although my store sells beekeeping supplies and I also teach beekeeping classes. I get into that after, because there's a lot to the business.
And this is second generation. You mentioned your dad, Vin, started the business in the 80s.
Yep.
What do you suppose led him to an interest in bees?
It was actually a hobby that started, and from one hive, he got two hives, kind of got bitten by the bug, and from two hives, he went to 30, 40, 50, and it just spread from there. And as a college business student, I looked at it being basically, it'd be a company I would want to run.
Sure.
And I enjoyed beekeeping them out in the nature, the farms. Getting stung is part of the business. It's actually not a bad thing, but it's part of the business.
So hold on, you're breaking news here. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Is there health benefits to getting stung?
There's actually a lot of health benefits to getting stung. There's an element in the stinger that actually helps for arthritis and tendinitis and early symptoms of MS. So I don't have arthritis at this point, but it does come back during the winter times when I'm not stung regularly.
I see. Interesting stuff. That's the first I've heard of something like that. So I'm gonna go out and spread the word. Don't panic this summer. If you happen to get stung by a bee, it's probably gonna be pretty good for you if you can get over the initial shock that
Right.
many people feel. One question I wanted to ask, of course, is who are your customers?
So my customers vary. Either you're a beekeeper who needs beekeeping supplies or bees, or you're someone who eats honey. My clients being the farmers who I pollinate for, also buy my honey and sell my honey. So you can find my honey at a lot of farm stands in the local Essex County area.
Is it fair to say that people who keep bees just to keep them are hobbyists?
Most are hobbyists, but it's the only hobby that you can actually make all your money back. It's as expensive as getting into golf or skiing, but every time you go golf or skiing, there's a $100 bill out of your pocket and then some. But beekeeping's free, it's enjoyable, and harvesting the honey is a way you can get all your money back.
Interesting. Talk about the pollination process. Is that something that you have to study and tinker with for a long time, or is it pretty natural?
Well, as long as you know how to take care of the bees and put them on the farm before the flowers are blooming, the bees do all the work.
Okay, so the labor costs are a little less than they might be.
Well, we don't have a human working. We have a beehive, but the beehive has cost and hidden costs.
I see.
So it's physical labor as well. That's why you see a lot of, I would say, older beekeepers breaking down. I mean, it is a young man's game.
Before I get into some of the bee supplies, including the 5-frame nuke, I want to ask you, Lisa, what's it like being married to a beekeeper?
It's actually been a lot of fun. I've learned so much from Joe and his family. I mean, I never knew much about it. And now it's just like the best conversation starter. Someone will ask, like I met you, what do you guys do? And I can't wait actually sometimes for people to say, what does your husband do? Because I usually blow their mind because people are like, that's actually a real job. People do that? And I say, yes, they do. And, Joe has done an amazing job. He's grown the business from his dad, building it, getting it more modernized and getting things more progressive. So it's been a lot of fun. And, you know, we're keeping it going and keeping it moving forward.
Oh, that's great. Let's talk about supplies.
Yes.
Talk to me about a 5-frame nuke. What is a 5-frame nuke?
Okay, a 5-frame nuke. Well, we sell Langstroth beehives, and it's a 10-frame, so we can inspect them. The beehive usually has 2 levels and has 20 frames. But a 5-frame nuke is a nucleus. It's a small colony with a queen and all the stages of brood, babies, and basically people start this colony that I sell to them, and then they add to it on their property. So I sell packages of bees too, which comes with a queen, and beekeepers understand the difference. They need bees. If you're going to be a new beekeeper or you're an older beekeeper, your bees didn't make the winter, which Massachusetts had a really tough year last year. And then beehives, and then obviously clothing, protective clothing, metal tools, the smokers, everything you need to be a beekeeper that we do sell.
How do you know what when you're dealing with a queen bee? Is a queen bee look different than?
Yeah, the
Okay,
queen bee is it's large. And when I teach people, Google helps out a lot. Google images. Google a queen is larger than every other bee. They're female, where the workers are female, but they're a lot smaller, and they just don't have the ovaries. So the back end of a queen is large.
got you. Do queen bees sting?
They can.
They can.
Yeah, well, they kill each other. So that's a fascinating point. If there's a bunch of queens that emerge at the same time in a swarmed hive, the first queen usually goes around and tries to kill her sister, so there's no competition.
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like royal families back in
They-
the
you only-
Middle
Yeah.
Ages.
Only need one queen. You don't need a few.
Maybe you could do a TV show about it.
Yeah, right.
Like
Fun
Game of
little
Thrones for bees, maybe.
Yeah.
Fun little fact, all the
Yes.
worker bees that you do see out that are, pollinating, they are all female, just so you know. So whenever you
Okay.
see a bee out there, they're all female that are doing the work, right, Joe?
That's right.
And help me clear up something. Do bees necessarily die when they sting?
They do, because there's a barb that actually sticks in your skin, and when they pull it away, it leaves the sac, which pumps venom into you. Once the bee has their exoskeleton broken, they're done for. They'll fly away and die.
They'll fly away and die.
That's right.
Okay. That's very good to finally know and have that answer that I used to argue with my 7 to 10-year-old friends back when we were kids.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I have the definitive answer from a beekeeper. Thank you very much. I want to talk about not only your physical shop location on Lake Street. What number Lake Street?
18 Lake Street.
Folks, 18 Lake Street in Peabody, there's an actual beekeeper shop where you can buy supplies. Can you see bees, live bees there, or is that not a good idea?
I'll have an observation hive in June. It usually takes me a little while. Obviously, the weather around here is not helping me right now,
Yes.
but soon enough, I'll have an observation hive.
Okay. And then you have a website, a very informative website that people could start there to get some questions answered before they call you, which I think is your preference.
Yes.
Let's make sure I get the website correct for everybody out there. It's Crystal Bee Supply. Now, bee is spelled B-E-E. Crystal Bee Supply, all one word, .com. And then and then I'm going to give the phone number because Joe appreciates getting a phone call. He deals with a lot of local folks, a lot of folks in the bee community, the farm community know Joe. So probably the best way for those folks to reach him is by phone. It's 978-790-5563 to Joe at the Crystal Bee Supply and Essex County Honey Company, which we're going to talk about in a second. 978-790-5563. Talk to me about honey, Essex County honey in particular.
All right. Well, obviously, bees have a byproduct, and it's honey, and we obviously produce a lot. And my dad obviously picked the county name because it's, obviously a local name. Most people either shoot me a text to make an appointment. My store is only open 9 to 1 on Saturdays. Monday through Friday by appointment. Obviously, a day like today that's raining, I was in the shop more often than not. But when I'm beekeeping, I can't be there. So most people shoot me a text and we just, get an ETA and I meet them. So if most people bring their jar back too, because I actually refill the jars for less money. So they don't have to waste their money on a glass jar again.
I
And
see.
good for recycling.
And
Yeah.
good for recycling.
Yeah.
Talk to me about volume. How much honey can you sell at a local farm?
You probably, 3 or 4 ton.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the price point of honey these days? Is it one of these things that's gone through the roof, or has it maintained pretty good stability over the few years?
The fact that I can give someone $2 back to bring their own jar, and the price of the jar is only $13. Some of the jars are $20. I give them $2 back. They're more expensive, $40 and $50 jars. I give them $4 back. So I'm giving them 10% back cash just to bring the jar back, and most of my clientele does.
Yeah.
I think he was looking at the honey, actually, the cost of what our honey is.
Oh, the cost. Well,
Yeah, I was just curious
like a
if-
1 pound jar is $13.
And how does that compare to, say, 5 years ago?
Oh gosh, it was probably $10.
Okay. So it's been the price has been pretty stable.
It has been fairly stable. Now I go up depending on my competition, but for the most part, yeah, it's only gone up $1 or $2 since COVID, which isn't
Okay.
too bad.
That is not too bad at
No.
all. Unlike your profession, Lisa, where the home prices have continued to skyrocket. And that's good for the economy, good for people who are looking to sell a home. It can be tough for folks who want to break into the housing market.
Yeah.
But it sounds like honey's a little more stable than housing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, the real estate market definitely is challenging still, but it is getting better. Right now, we're up about 40% from last year in regards to inventory. So that's, we're definitely going in the right direction. I think a lot of people are just still hanging on, looking for those interest rates to drop a bit. But, there's a lot of beautiful places up here in the Essex County, but Peabody is definitely an area where a lot of people are very interested in. I mean, you guys are so close to everything. You've got fabulous restaurants. The community is amazing. You've got a wonderful beekeeping store that you can get fresh honey around the corner. I mean, it's just got a lot to offer. So it's such an exciting time. And I'm excited for 2025. I think it's going to be good. So
Great.
don't
Well-
get discouraged out there, buyers and sellers.
Yeah, no, I have a good feeling. And perhaps you'd be willing to come on the podcast and talk about your business
Oh my God, I'd
in
love
the real
to do
estate
that.
market. So we could, because I agree, Peabody is a hotbed for real estate.
It is.
It's done very well. It's had a very good run the last 10 years. The local economy has been very strong in Peabody, and we're very fortunate to have a revitalized downtown where new restaurants and shops are opening. It seems like every month.
That's right.
So I'd love to maybe have you on, Lisa, to talk about real estate going forward.
I would love to do that.
I want to get a shot, if I can. I'm going to hold it up to the camera of a small jar.
A jar,
A
yeah.
small jar
bar,
of
yeah.
Essex County honey. It's raw honey. It has the 18 Lake Street address, and I'm going to turn it to the camera in just a second. This happens to be an 8-ounce jar, and it says wildflower at the bottom. What's the wildflower?
So by law in Massachusetts, we don't have one crop that's going to be like an orange blossom or blueberry. So most of our honey is from wild flowers, dandelions, clover, purple loosestrife, goldenrod, maple trees, linden trees, locust trees. So you're not going to have like one blossom. So we have to call it wildflower.
Wildflower. Gotcha. Is there anything else about either Crystal Bee Supply Company or Essex County Honey Company that our listeners should know?
Well, at Crystal Bee Supply, I do push education and beekeeping.
Oh, I'm glad
do,
you mentioned that. I saw that on the website.
Yeah, I do teach classes, and a lot of people are really interested in it. And it's funny because if you take the class, I would say 99 out of 100 people that take that class become beekeepers.
Is that right?
There are thousands of beekeepers, and I would say at least 50 to 100 in Peabody alone, easily.
Excellent. New customers for you as well.
Well, yeah, most of them are old customers.
Okay, all right.
Beekeeping, there are new people that do it, but a lot of them they're gray hairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of younger people are getting into it.
Excellent.
I think one of the good things that new beekeepers find when they do work with Joe is that he's very attentive. So you almost like have a one-on-one mentor with him. So not only you're getting the education, but all weekend long we'll be out and he'll be getting texts of pictures of beehives and saying, what's going on in here, So it's very nice that he can be that way and really mentor his students. So that way they're successful and they're able to, harvest honey and come back next year.
Well, it's great to have. We're very proud to have a beekeeping expert here in Peabody. And I'm glad that you do the classes because I like the fact that you're spreading your passion to other people who clearly, based on the numbers you said, definitely follow up and continue to and become beekeepers themselves. I have no doubt that this episode will be among the highest rated that we've done. And the reason is because of the reason I was so excited. I don't know a lot about bees or beekeeping. And to hear that we have this business in the city, I'm sure some people knew about it. I did not until I met Lisa. But to hear that you've been here all these years and a successful small family-run business is great, and especially with respect to the fact that it's bees, and we can all learn more about beekeeping and the fact that when you get stung by a bee, don't panic. It's actually good for you. I want to thank Joe and Lisa for joining us on the Peabody Business Podcast. Thank you both.
Thank you,
you.
Chris.